Yep. Hey, as we've been telling you all day long, it's just a few hours from now, President Obama will announce his administration's plans to reduce gun violence. According to reports, the president is expected to consider some 19 executive orders that don't require congressional approval. So what can we expect and what possibly legal fallout could come from this as I come back? David Rivkin is a constitutional law attorney and former White House counsel under President Reagan and President H.W. Bush. He joins us right now. David, what do you expect today?
We do not know for sure. We clearly know one thing. He cannot do by executive order anything that Congress has not delegated authority to him for. And we're talking about domestic policy where the president has no inherent power. So he cannot ban high-capacity magazines by executive order. He cannot ban so-called assault weapons. I expect that most of them would deal with trying to embellish on his existing authority to conduct background checks. But even there, he has to be careful in a way that it's being done in a way that does not frustrate the fundamental constitutional right in the Second Amendment.
But, I mean, some of his past power grabs doesn't seem to have stuck to him. It certainly didn't hurt him when we election. No congressional approval for Libya strikes. Remember, they just started. Recess appointments, aplenty. Executive orders to stop deportations. He's done that. Jamming through Obamacare. We know how he did that. And the Department of Justice did not uphold DOMA, the weakening of welfare work requirements, and the contraception mandate. He did that by himself. And this would be something very similar to the pattern we saw in the first 4 years.
You're absolutely right, Brian. He has a pattern of ignoring the Constitution, trying to aggrandize his power, quite frankly. If a Republican president had done so, both Congress and the mainstream media would be in the state of uproar. He can try that, but again, I think he would fail. They would be challenged. Look, frankly, it's very, very injurious, not only to our constitutional system, but to any kind of effort to foster consensus. So whatever he does by executive order, in my opinion, at best would be ineffectual. At worst would be counterproductive. If he does by executive order things that really burden the right to have access to firearms, they would be challenged and eventually would go down. And he has to be very careful with regard to background checks. Let me give you a quick example. You cannot have a background check system that effectively prevents people from buying firearms. If a government were to say we can only bless people who get an affirmative mental wellness information, be able to purchase firearms, that effectively would prevent virtually all Americans from gaining access to firearms, because most of us do not have some information that, in fact, gives us that affirmative clearance. And as you mentioned earlier, a few minutes ago, there are also problems with psychiatrists conveying that kind of information to the federal government. So we have to be very careful about how the whole background check issue plays out.
You know, you brought up the most interesting point to date. Without having a law degree, fundamentally, if I want to get something done, and I go do it on my own and then ask people to agree or expand on it, I've poisoned the well at any hope of consensus. So if you really wanted to get something done, you don't go do the cowboy thing today at 11:45, correct?
Absolutely correct. Unfortunately, on this issue, as many other issues, including Obamacare and immigration reform, I'm afraid the president is not interested in fostering consensus and having constructive solutions. He's interested in scoring cheap political points and pushing back as much as possible against the Republicans. That's the sad reality here.
And with children sitting by to pull at the heartstrings, who'll be there while those kids have written him letters wanting to be safe in schools. David Rivkin, it's going to be interesting to see what's rolled out and where we go from there. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Good to be with you, Brian.